Yeah, and this does also mean because well, we've got CM, we've got Mirana, this Primal Beast has to be one of the three cores. I just feel like SG right now kind of have a little bit more balance in their lineup. But 5RAT used the cheat code. They pull out the LD here in a position that is an interesting spot because I feel like, okay, you can now cancel that Dark World's TP, which is going to result you in probably a few more kills onto her specifically. But will you have enough damage now? And will you be able to actually survive here? And I feel like that's where SG now, we need burst damage right away. We've got good control. We've got fantastic control. We've got a carry that can supply a stun. Now it's time to just get that battering ram on our mid lane here because we will run out of damage really quickly if 5RAT can stick us in that super long engagement. Where 5RAT, they need a big stun. I don't know what it's going to be. I think in the same vein, it needs to come from either their mid or their offlane, depending on where this Primal Beast goes. But they need something to kind of bring the team fights into a center. Because right now, 5RAT's got a lot of damage. They've got a lot of sustain. But if it's not focused, then it's just going to all fall by the wayside, and SG are not going to care.
See, this is the thing is I'm not really sure like what speed plays. I'm assuming he's taking the offlane still for these guys, right? Or is he
Hmm.
going? Yeah,
Yeah.
okay. So it's like Speed's offlane pool to me, like it was always like just a bunch of kind of like cheesy damage dealers, like Death Prophet, Razor, stuff like that. Like he didn't really play a lot of like initiator, big team fight heroes. So I'm not really sure like where his like hero pool is going to take him in this. Like that makes me feel like he's probably playing the Primal Beast here. Um,
Hmm.
and we need something obviously for the mid lane instead. And I don't know, man. It feels a little strange. They get the Lena ban. This is the one hero that I thought was going to cause them a lot of problems on 5RATFORCESTAFF if they didn't ban it. It's just too good, I think. So I am a little curious where they go with this. Could they mid
Yeah,
lane the
and
Lone Druid, off lane the Primal Beast, and pick up a carry still?
they could, but the one problem I have with that is I don't know how much time Kits actually has on that hero. Because of course, you talk about
Yeah,
Kits, you talk about the spirits, and you talk about Invoker, and those
yeah.
are the really where he's been focused most of his career. I think SG going back for that Lesh ban is also pretty smart. It kind of falls in that same line, but I feel like Invoker out of those picks would probably be the best choice for him specifically. But I would love if they could kind of move things around, but I just don't know if I trust kits on that hero necessarily, as well as you do kind of throw away what is a pretty nice lane of the LDCM versus Mars
Yeah.
Darkwill, where you do just kind of hit them over and over. But also means that they have drafted themselves willingly into this monkey lane, which I can only imagine that SG are going to be pretty happy with, but we'll have to see because I know Primal Beast has surprised and will keep surprising many players with how much damage he can kind of just do in a moment.
I really do like the potential of an Invoker here. I think that actually could offer a lot. You have Arrow, Frostbite, you have Entangle Roots, you have Pulverize, all these abilities that set up for easy Sunstrikes this game. And there's the Invoker ban. Damn. Yeah, I was going to say, like, this is a really good Invoker game. So it would have caused a lot of problems inside of SG Esports. So good heads up ban there from them. Um, I mean, in terms of what's left, I mean, you have like the Ember Spirit, you have last pick on the side of 5RAT4 staff, so you can kind of see your mid matchup before you lock that in. But
Yeah,
I think
I
if you
know.
do that, yeah, they're gonna ban the Queen of Pain. So the question
Well,
is, do you anticipate like an Ember Spirit and go for something else that might beat it, or what are you feeling?
For right now, for me, and they pick Necro, and I think they pick Necro because it's preempting a Kunkka pick from 5RAT. Because now you're in a really awkward spot. I think that would have also ticked off quite a few boxes for them if they want to go for it, but
Yeah,
that's literally just SG being ahead of the exchange because now 5RAT are in this position where they can't really pick any of the spirits. They can't pick Void or Storm
no,
into Necro. They can't pick the Kunkka either because even though that lane is most likely just a draw, this forces Kits, unfortunately, into that weird role where do you want to play a hero like Puck? Is that going to be it? They go for SF. Okay.
good SF
I'm
mid.
excited.
Yeah,
It's good. It's
the
really good.
The other thing too is if they like lane swap and DNM takes the Lone Druid, wanted to take the Lone Druid mid, Lone Druid into Necro is unplayable as well. Like that's like one of the worst lanes for a Lone Druid too. So it's like there really was no options. Like with this Necro pick actually did cover a lot. Like you said, I like this. Shadow Fiend last pick though for 5RAT. It doesn't give them a lot of stun. Like we're talking about that on the side of the Radiant team here. They're missing a lot of lockdown. They don't really have like the big team fight presence that we see on the side of SG, but maybe they can make it happen.
Yeah, no, and I do really like the way that SF especially plays versus Monkey King. It's where it's really hard for you to stick onto targets anymore in the fight, and of course,
10
they needed
seconds
something to
remaining.
lane versus that Necro. I think with all of the heroes picked out or banned out
5
earlier in the phases,
seconds
this was just a
remain.
really nice pickup for Faker for KXY. Like seeing the Batrider and the Lina taken out earlier, it's just using pretty much all of your outs here. But Kits can lane, and this is a lane that can honestly go either way. I've seen Necros bully SFs. I've seen SFs just immediately get 3 stacks of the raise on that Necro, and then suddenly the lane becomes, on the other hand, unlaneable for him. It's really just going to come down, I think, large in part to the support rotations, as we always talk about, because really all it takes is some type of level advantage, and then suddenly the opponent can't do anything, and then you're constantly getting creep waves forced into you, and then the other mid either gets active or starts trumping you in net worth. And I think that's where we're really going to see these mid laners go into completely different directions. But we also got to look out for speed because Primal Beast, it's one of those heroes, especially in the off lane. Let's say he's getting shut up by Yuma. Speed level 4 could just show up mid, could just end up in a lane he's not supposed to be because that's what Primal Beast does best. He charges from the tower and then something dies.
Oh man, this is gonna be a fun one. I'm excited to see how they debut themselves here on the BTS Pro Series. SG obviously yesterday struggled a little bit as they ended up getting 2-0'd by the side of Ravens. Ravens currently 4-0 in the tournament though, so they are no joke of a team. But yeah, Dark Willow, geez, level 27. You got a little bit of games under your belt, it would seem there.
Yeah, that's a little too much Dark Willow, honestly. But, you know, I think that's
Prepare
where I
yourselves
think
for
that
the
hero,
main event.
especially this combo, has just always been in kind of the back
This
closet for so
endless
many
dash
of
of
these
scared ponies
offlaners
upon
and
you.
fours. But sometimes I think a lot of pro players get scared off of the hero because without that really easy setup, it can just feel very inconsistent. And of course, we saw yesterday having 4 positions that are just completely countered by BKBs can sometimes mean you just don't have another hero. And I think that's a situation that a lot of teams try to desperately avoid because they just want to keep yourself relevant for a very long time in this game. And something you could say against SG is that once those BKBs are built up, their support duo is irrelevant. They are non-factors. It's where you are going to have to rely a lot more on your cores in this game, and especially the initiation from the Mars.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm
Just
excited
30
to see how this one
seconds
plays
left.
out. Mid lane, we see both teams kind of positioning to protect like wards or their runes. Dire, they actually have one up on the like the high ground deep into their own jungle. This is gonna scout Giants walking around, so they might be able to find his wards there in a moment. But
I'll pretend that I didn't enjoy this.
a lot of voice lines this game from both teams.
Welcome
Yeah, they've
all
got all the good
to
ones.
the
I think that the
main
SF1 as well was pretty
event.
sick. Ain't the 25, but it'll
Oh
do you
boy,
well.
Speed
And
actually
speed,
commits for that rune. Takes a lot of damage for it, but he's gonna slowly make his way back towards the top lane. Of course, going the Uproar level 1. This is pretty much the standard, just that bonus 10 damage to try and CS with early on. Just really dominate those lanes, get those early last hits and denies. But not gonna be like a super easy lane against the Monkey King like you talked about.
yeah, and we'll see. Of course, the lane is more or less fine until Yuma gets level 3, and then the lane gets much more difficult after that. But that's also where Mirana, we don't get to see a lot of Miranas every once in a while. I feel like typically we see a lot more Mirana whenever Alpha's in the tournament just because Flea loves that hero so much. But as we always talk about, it draws the lane. It makes it a lot easier. You arrow out of XP range, you get your level 2 or your level 3 a little bit faster on your off lane, and then you typically go for a kill attempt on the 5. So just very stable stuff.
All right, so we got the bottom lane here. DNM, Lone Druid, and Crystal Maiden taking on Oscar's Mars. And then, of course, you have LTH here on the Dark Willow. She's already dragging this wave back behind the tower here. Try and give themselves a little bit of that CS advantage. Try and deny some of these creeps on over to the side of 5RAT. But they're just going to go ahead and try and Oh, he actually doesn't get it underneath the tower. So DNM, a little bit of well, unlucky there.
Yeah.
So that's going to push pretty heavily.
Yeah, at least AB1 was able to get lucky there. Was able to grab one of the couriers running over, but then gets speared, taking a whole bunch of damage there. Was actually able to thread the needle, though, in between those brambles on that ramp, but oh, he
Yeah,
should
one
be
more
able
auto
to walk
attack.
this one.
To their bottom tower.
He's got a God's Rebuke in 2-1. AB1 trying to get the deny off. Maybe he'll be able to. And nah, not this time. LTH grabbing the first blood there on the Dark Willow. A little bit of space made, though, for DNM. And to be honest, like, that was a long chase. And there was, like, 2 creep waves underneath the tower that they kind of missed for that.
Yeah, it's like, funnily enough, XP-wise, LTH is actually incredibly sad because he only got half of that first wave that he ended up pulling, and DNM just denied or just kind of watched everything go underneath the tower. So even though it's first blood gold that's not going to the Mars either. I honestly don't think that's worth it, but you know, we'll have to see. It's not the end of the world by any means, but kind of an unfortunate circumstance.
Yeah, absolutely. Top lane speed does have 4 charges of the Uproar. I mean, if they happen to get Chen a little bit out of position here, they could try and play for it. Oh, they're just going to go for Yuma instead, and that's the pulverized damage. The arrow ends up being tanked by the Chen, and not pulverized, sorry, trample. But yeah, that's the thing. Like, when you play against Primal Beast, one of the best things you can do is probably not attack him. But in this lane, he just did not have the Jingu stacks. Mid lane, though, KXY, he might just be dead. Yeah, there it is.
Okay.
The 4th raise from Kits there to find the kill. That'll do it.
Oh, and it's so tilting. I hate it. I hate the honks, the TikToks. It's just, it's too much, honestly.
The honk
And you
is
get
the
to
best
reset.
one by far.
No, the honk is incredibly powerful. Unfortunately, there's no support to refill up Kits' bottle, but I feel like SF, it's just one of those heroes you have to give so much respect, and the moment you don't, that kind of happens there. And it's just Kits, or rather KXY, just trying to play the lane as well as he can, because you want to be aggressive on that Necro, but it's those little advantages where now Kits is going to hit his level 6 just a little bit earlier than KXY, meaning that he can stay in the wave for maybe 1 wave more.
I mean, he's
Oh
got
my
level
God, the
3
damage.
raise. Like, look at how
Yeah.
much damage that is. And he's going to be able to contest these 4-minute runes, or at least get one of them, right? Like, KXY won't be able to contest both. Top lane, underneath the tower, Giant will be able to find the kill there onto the Chen. And I feel like this Chen hasn't really been able to do a whole lot in this lane. Like, he's got 1 point in the Holy Persuasion. Just trying to... I mean, I don't know. Where is his... Does he have a creep somewhere? I guess the Mirana just might keep arrowing them, but Kit's chasing after KXY here once again, seeing if he might be able to find him, but dodging it out into the trees, walking back into the mid lane.
Yeah, I don't know. It's tough for Widge. He's been trying. He hasn't really been getting lucky on creeps either, but he also hasn't been attempting to go for anything deeper.
19
Oh yeah, the
HP.
raises.
That's the thing. He just sees this Necrophos and you just walk up and double raise him. I'm surprised he like didn't like chase for the triple raise, but again, like not getting the kill isn't the end of the world. Like KXY has to walk back to base. He's level 4. Yeah. He's gonna be almost level 6 by the time he gets back into this lane.
Yeah, and Kits is just going to try to aggro the creeps back as far as he can. It's a pretty big mistake. He ended up TPing to that lane without buying a raindrop, which has resulted in everything going so awry for the Necro. As they did get a kill bottom as well. CM just gets kind of taken down. Not the worst thing in the world, though, again, because every time that CM does go down, drops pretty much all of her mana, and then DNM just sits there and gets his level 6 even faster.
Ooh, top lane, they get the kill onto Yuma. Okay. Is that arrow? Let's see here. Yeah, it was onslaught into arrow. That's good stuff.
And now, I don't know if you want to TP back towards top. You kind of have to, but this wave is insane. And with the flag bearer, if you're not careful, you just get run down. And here we go, Monkey. This is something else. Yuma has to whittle down this creep wave really smartly. Maybe with the Chen coming in, he'll feel a little bit more confident, but oh my god, it's so many creeps.
Yeah, it really is. This tower's gonna take a ton of damage. Oh my gosh, does he get him again? All right.
Okay.
This is looking pretty rough in the mid lane, man. Dude, this is like the dream start on a Shadow Fiend. And bottom lane, they also managed to take down Oscar. Dude, 5RAT is just dismantling all 3 lanes right now.
No, everything's kind of just coming up 5RAT, and I mean, this is even without them rotating. This is not them over-rotating or out-rotating their opponents. This is just them straight up winning the lanes. They're not doing really anything. And look at that. KXY doesn't even feel confident enough. He's gonna jungle for his level 6. That's how annoyed, or rather unlaneable, his situation is. It's a level 7 SF. It's 6 minutes into the game.
Not to mention, bottom tier 1 tower is gone. DNM with the catapult still there. He's got that Aura of Corrosion. The tower gets denied by the Dark Willow, so nice play there by LTH, but I mean, there's not a single lane that's going super well, and now top lane, Yuma, he does manage to dodge out the arrow, but there's a Starstorm. There's just too much magic damage. He didn't have the Boundless Strike to go for that heal.
Oh my goodness. And there's nothing from SG. They're not batting an eye. Finally, LTH is kind of rotating out to give, hopefully, enough soul XP for Oscar to get his level 6 online. But, I mean, you can't ask for a worse start. I mean, 37 and 22. I mean, Kits doesn't even need to do this necessarily. He just knows that if I force this Necro to jungle, there's literally nothing. There's no Necro in this game right now.
Yeah, not at all. He's just freezing the lane, right? Anyone who comes here is just going to get raised and die. Top lane, though, rotation in from LTH. They want to try and get aggressive here onto the Primal Beast, but he gets the onslaught off, and he's gone. Far enough underneath the tower, they cannot really chase here. Arrow comes out, not going to connect onto anything. But you're just free farming in 2 lanes here completely. DNM, does he just pick up a Midas? He's got it. He's got a casual glove of haste on his bear, so I'm wondering if he's going for one. Meanwhile, mid lane, Kits does need to be careful. Getting hopped by the arena would be huge. It's gonna come through. He actually ends up getting pushed outside. Oh no! Reaper Scythe connects, and they do finally take down that Shadow Fiend. A big kill at the end of the day, but the Reaper Scythe didn't actually claim the kill, and that is an issue. Arrow does come out from Giant, connects here onto the Dark Willow. He does have the Urn as well. Jumps on in, Starstorm comes through. One more auto attack. Willow dies, and that's going to give him another Urn to go through in just a second. Pulverize is available if they want to use it, and there it is. You end up losing a second, and now Oscar has to head for the hills. There's a lone druid at your tier 2 bottom, man.
And everything is just kind of collapsing, and it is sad that you weren't able to get the Shadow Fiend with that kill before, but you did dump everything. You needed to get that kill. If you didn't, you'd have a whole slew of problems. Maybe his speed came in a little bit earlier. I don't even want to think about the possibility of Kits surviving that and then getting everything turned around on them, but now Monkey King's gone. He had to respond towards bottom. Everybody got taken out of their lane, and 5RAT are still farming better.
Yeah, if this was like one of the scenarios where Kits had a point in Requiem, I mean, that mid lane fight, I think he definitely survives, but it's one of those things that he kind of just prefers to get the souls, play a little bit more of a farm heavy build here as opposed to going for kills. Going for the Dragonlance next, which is nice, so he is just going for that right click damage this game. Which I'm actually a little bit surprised on, right? You've got a lone druid. I guess he's going to rely on the match damage from the Primal Beast. That's probably the idea. They don't want to commit too heavy to magic.
No, and Dragonlance just feels nice. It's just really easy buildup. Because they're doing something to DNM bottom, and they'll try to get the dive going here, and yeah.
You managed to make it happen. No true form. He's gone, and AB1 underneath the tower as well. Just gets surrounded. Yuma's going to find that kill, so good rotation there from SG. They were too busy focused on the mid runes and unable to respond to that when they do manage to take the tier 1 top in the process here.
No, it's a pretty seamless push. A push that they kind of have to make as well, but that's where I am worried about the collapse now, though, from 5RAT. Oh.
KXY needs to be careful. Dude, if he comes up for this, he can just... I was like, Kits could just go for the extra raise there. But I guess choosing not to. So at this point in the game, it is only a 2k lead here for the side of 5RAT. It's not that substantial. Yuma has actually managed to pull ahead on the Monkey King, take over that top net worth position, which is a little bit surprising to me because he didn't have like a great lane by any means. And you know, he's starting to farm pretty dang well. He's making his way into the mid lane. There's gonna be the Bramble drop. They want to try and keep this catapult alive so we can do as much damage to this tower, but it will finally go down.
And they do still need to be careful. They know that they're ahead right now. They know that they're in a pretty safe spot, but I think something they do need to be a little bit more cautious of is just giving Oscar these arenas. He's found a little bit too much for a pre-Blink Dagger Mars. I think that's just been the only thing SG have been able to play around. And if 5RAT can kind of circumnavigate that, they'll be in such a better spot as... Ooh, speed! Actually messed up the turn there. Wasn't able to keep on top of that Chen. Would have gotten interrupted by Yuma anyway if he did go for the Pulverize, but still feels like maybe some of these plays are starting to slip through 5RAT's fingers here. Because really their only play now is to make kind of that crazy dive onto the mid tower. But it feels like we might be in that situation where we need to farm up at least a BKB on speed before we're that confident.
Yeah. Bottom lane, Yuma does need to be a little bit careful here as Speed is, you know, playing pretty aggressive on the Primal Beast. If he manages to chop his tree, it's pretty rough, but they are rotating a lot of heroes down here. We're going to see KXY here on the Necrophos as well as LTH on the Willow. AV1 caught out. No Reaper Scythe for this, so they're just going to give the kill on over to Yuma. And meanwhile, DNM used the time to grab mid tower.
Yeah, I feel like removing that defender of the Necro from the mid, you wanted to try and get that kill, and Necro's actually a pretty great hero versus Primal Beast just because of how much damage you can actually kind of bleed through with the Heartstopper, but at the same time, they got their objective. DNM found the time, and now they don't feel pressed farming, and you're probably going to see the map go into that little bit of a pause before we get the Blink Dagger finished up on Oscar. Because right now, if they want to go for the mid tower for SG, this is going to feel a little bit of a force. I feel like Oscar, he could just focus on finishing up his Blink Dagger, but instead, he seems telling them that it's time to go and it's time to make this play happen. But depending on how 5RAT defend here, this could be a very easy fight to lose. They got to be very careful here for SG.
Yeah, absolutely. One thing I just noticed, like the Mirana is super farmed. She's going to have a pretty quickly timed Spirit Vessel this game. There's a couple hundred gold away, and that is going to spell disaster for the heroes on side of SG, right? Mars as well as the Necrophos just really struggled with this item. They're not going to have their BKBs anytime soon. I don't really know how they're going to play around that, but I guess we will find out.
No, and it is just going to be the straight up double BKB timing for 5RAT. And then, again, it's such a tough lineup to play into once those BKBs are done. And then SG are only going to find the initiations from Oscar. But he's still kind of moving in between lanes because his team kind of needs him to be that vanguard in these situations. But because they're taking him out of the lanes for so long, this Blink Dagger is just slowing down just minute after minute.
They do manage to
really
find
like
speed bottom lane here on the Primal Beast. A lot of magic damage coming through from the Dark Willow, but the Pulverize in the return, he gets the kill and he gets out. Oh, man. This hero is tanky, boy.
Doesn't even have a neutral item. It just doesn't matter, though. And, again, you don't get that kill, you go for the dive, you use all of your abilities, and now, when you want to smoke up and make a play with your Blink Dagger on your Mars, you're in this very tough position now, and Oscar, he's just running out the SF, his Blink's in base. He doesn't have it.
Man, if they'd hit the arrow there, that would have been pretty huge. Giant has his Spirit Vessel now finally coming out, but yeah, you're right. I mean, Oscar, this blink timing is massive. They have to find a kill at this. But they're going to Moonlight Shadow instead. They walk right up onto the high ground, and they see KXY. Speed walking into the outpost, but doesn't seem to really care all that much as they get him with the double raise. And those are more vessel charges.
You know, for a second there, even 5RAT thought that they were underneath the sentry, just the way they walked, but then it came through, and then DNM's coming to Chen on the other side, mopping up all the creeps as well. I mean, this blink timing, it has to be everything, and they do find him. Okay, Kits is dead.
Should look to their top tower.
Oh man, I was muted. My bad. I think I sneezed and had to mute myself. That is unlucky.
I'm sure you were saying a lot to
I was
someone
saying a bunch of
else.
good stuff. Yeah, I was saying a bunch of good stuff. It's all right.
Masterful mark.
I'm sure nothing was lost on me, at least.
All right, it's okay. What can you do? But yeah, I was gonna say after a fight like that, it feels like 5RAT kind of got the better of it with the final kills there onto the Monkey King, the Mars, and the Necro. Like at the tail end of those fights, yes, they do lose like the Shadow Fiend and the PB, but I don't know. Doesn't seem like that bad.
That doesn't seem bad at all. And also can't emphasize enough that this was all pre-BKB. This is all before they just bought their big items. It almost would have been sick. I don't think Kids dies there if Speed actually cuts the Monkey's tree. It was super close with the actual onslaught. If he gets it before the Wukong's goes down, I think the Monkey just dies for free. Kits doesn't die, and then everything just kind of goes belly up for SG, and then you get a full wipe. But at the same time, I think it's not too bad for either side. Think the one person that's sad about this entire engagement is probably just Yuma, who's gone for the least greedy monkey build, I feel like, in existence. He's just trying to be as functional as really humanly possible because without a BKB of his own, then he can't really stand in the fights either. So it's one of those kind of tough situations where nobody's going to end up really being fabulously farmed aside from DNM, who is fabulously farmed.
Yeah. Oh man. Did I wonder how long I was muted there? I actually have no idea. I don't even remember hitting the mute button. That was weird. But oh well. Chat, you can just imagine what the play-by-play was like during the fight. Probably the best the world has ever seen, but you know, you gotta pay extra for that.
It's pay-per-view, yeah. Pay-per-view is a hell of a concept, honestly.
It really is, man. So Deso done here on the lone druid now. Pretty good. Pretty good timing.
Yeah, this is just going to make it pretty much impossible for the monkey to actually survive in these fights because, again, he's itemized so much for surviving the spells and making sure that he can actually tank up versus those heroes that the bear gets on top of him. He's just going to die if he's not in his own ring. So Yuma has to really tread carefully when it comes down to these team fights. But it's also time to go. Speed's going to try to do something to KXY bottom. I think this is just kind of a poke. Oh, no. This is... He hexed himself. It's going to be close, but he's dead. Yeah.
Oh, my goodness, dude. They're just struggling, man. They're falling apart pretty much in every scenario. Like, I think, obviously, all this starts with KXY's mid lane experience. Just being super rough top lane. They will find a little pick off onto the Mirana as they bring 4, but Primal Beast, he's deeping in. He wants to go. And he'll just find Witch here on the side. AB1 with the freezing field as well. Going to be able to pop the Terrorize to send them back, but for the moment, pretty rough.
No, at least the Chen creeps get to walk away from that situation, but yeah. Speed's just doing a little bit too much with the Beast right now, and they are kind of walking under a lot of vision here. I feel like Speed should probably ping out that ward pretty much instantly, but they can't actually afford to take this fight right now. Speed is in absolutely no danger. As soon as he feels like he's going to die, he can just pop BKB and walk away, but at the same time, it's an interesting position to be in, especially because Yuma's here with a BKB of his own. He'd love to start the fight getting on top of that SF immediately and just dropping the Wukongs, but let's see if that happens. It's kind of poking right now.
Nah, he's not gonna go for it. What? Wait a minute. They just guessed. I think he just thought he was still over there. I don't know.
Interesting play. Scan comes out, but now with it being daytime, without a smoke, you aren't doing anything, especially if you're Oscar. The blink just isn't enough range unless you're really playing high ground, low ground, but okay, XY, is he really just gonna get cut off at the knees here, walking back into the jungle?
Oh my god, yeah, smoke just barely doesn't get popped there by the Dark Willow, and you would be correct, sir. KXY once again.
Oh,
Gonna be a pretty rough fate.
Arrow gets to fly underneath the the pulverize. Love heroes in the Z-axis in Dota. Nothing better, but this is Roche. It's a small pick, but unless Oscar does a rush order and gets there immediately, I feel like there's absolutely no way they can test this. And 20-minute Roche, not too bad. I would probably give it the first one just to DNM because he doesn't have a defensive item just yet, but Kits will eventually be taking one of these Aegises, I can only imagine.
Yeah, I agree. At some point, DNM just becomes kind of the too big to fail on the lone druid, right? Where he's just so tanky, it has so much sustain through the bear's right clicks. But as of right now, like you said, no real defensive items. Just kind of be a... my guess is it's going to mostly just end up being like a farming Aegis for this hero. It's what ends up happening a lot of times. But
yeah, for sure. Now on the mid lane, they do just get to kind of push in. They're doing 2 lanes at the same time. Can't imagine this top tier 2 is going to last very long. One thing I do kind of hope to see from Kits is that he actually ends up buying his own shard. Something the DNM's already done. I think really too many players end up greeting out for that second row shard and it just ends up delaying such strong abilities. Like especially on heroes like TA. Nobody ever buys the TA shard. Everybody just thinks that they're going to get it on the second Roche, but that shard is so insane in so many different ways.
Oh, they do manage to find Kits on the Shadow Fiend. BKB is available if he can try and get away from Yuma, and he will be able to. Oscar on the backside just getting absolutely trampled by Speed, and Yuma does not get that Wukong's command off, and that big freezing field there from AB1 going to cause them to retreat further and further into the base, but DNM just chasing for more. The Reaper side come through, will finish off the bear, but that doesn't do you a whole lot of good, as now KXY on the run, just getting destroyed by Speed's Primal Beast once again. The magic damage is there. The Dark Willow will find the exchange, but it's just a goddamn slaughter in the enemy base. SG lose 5, as now they get to turn their attention on over to the lane of Barracks, and DNM's Spirit Bear obviously going to make quick work of these.
It's tier 4s. It's the Primal Beast. It's 22 minutes in, and he's killing a Necro. This just is not okay. This isn't fair. And now, yeah, at least going to be the tier 3. I feel like if the SF can somehow connect, they could probably stick around for just the range, but they might just want to be chill here. There isn't a resummon, so DNM can't actually afford to lose this bear, but at the same time, they got pretty much everything they wanted there. What an awful situation. And then not being able to, even though they found the jump onto the SF, not feeling comfortable enough to get the Wukong's command down on top of it, because they know that they would have been spent for the rest of the team fight. But Kit survives. Like, too many things are just going so well for 5RAT.
It just feels like you can't afford to not overcommit, right? For the Shadow Fiend or for these big kills, right? If you get that Blink Spear into the arena, it's like, you just gotta drop the Wukongs. Even if it was like overkill, it just would have been worth it, I think. But unfortunate there for SG. And now 5RAT extend their lead up 9,000.
Yeah, and now they've got this huge deafening lead, and they're just trying to find pickoffs. Unfortunately, Speed, after his Necro kill into the tier 4s, has a full Blink Dagger now, so if he's going to be able and even more capable at finding those initiations, but also just picked up the Ag Shard. So now he can just pretty much stun a hero for 4 seconds if he times it perfectly with his Onslaught, even longer if he hits that Pulverize with the BKB, and then someone's dead. No one's surviving that on the SG side of things, and with another minute and a half on Aegis, can only imagine, yeah, they should just march back top. There's no tier 3 here. There is Glyph, which might make things a little bit hairy, but it's also where KXY needs friends right now. Otherwise, he could just get jumped and die.
Well, DNM also just got his Savage Roar cooldown talent. Ooh, Dark Willow. That's weird. She actually got Shadow Realm off during the Pulverizer as the Pulverizer was cast, but Oscar, the nice arena, will find the Mirana, but there's your BKBs, the Frostbite. He is not going to go anywhere as they take them down on the backside, and DNM continuing to play aggressive. Another Reaper side just for the bear. Kits channeling on that Requiem, but they managed to take down the lane of Barracks at the end of the day. And another resummon once again from DNM, and he's just like, all right, I'm gonna go back mid. Don't worry about it.
Yeah, and
looking for Yuma.
Without Reaper, and you're still down 2. Well, what do you actually do here? You need to maybe heal the bear up a little bit, but at the same time, I feel like this is just everything. If you force anything out of the Monkey King, that could just be the game. If you get his BKB or his Wukong's command, I don't think you can hold anymore. And Kits is also a full-fledged damage dealer now.
Oh, 60 HP, it lives. The Savage Roar, man. So good with that shard.
Okay, now with Aegis gone, SG do have a pretty good opportunity here. If they can get actually DNM inside of that ring, he doesn't have Spirit Form for another 40 seconds. This would be their moment, but they don't have Arena, so they might have to wait and make this an even tighter timing, but they got to do something. I
Yeah,
feel like
they
this
do.
is where you can't really overplay yourself too much, but you also need to find a way to smoke towards this ward bottom. This is the only vision they have out on the map. They have to play for something at this point on SG. Otherwise, 5RAT, they just slow down the game. They wait for the next Roche. They drag you out of your base, and then SG have another impossible team fight ahead of them.
Yeah, it's pretty nuts like how farmed Widge is on this Chen. I mean, that's just kind of what happens, but Speed using their own ward to their advantage goes in, finds the Necrophos, and a quick kill. Widge unable to TP on home, and that is going to be 2 more going the way of 5RATFORCESTAFF, which they can just draw a line down mid. Once again, they don't have creeps this time, but you do have a DNM Lone Druid. Like, maybe you don't care too much about the creeps. He could honestly just burn right through the melee or the ranged barracks if he tries, which he's gonna start working on.
Yeah, and it is just slightly faster than backdoor, but as soon as it comes back, he's gonna
He
pop
could just
the mom, he's
Savage
gonna
Roar it.
switch
I don't
it.
know why he hasn't yet, but there it goes. He's just saving the Savage Roar for the Dispel. Yep, there it is. And goodbye melee barracks. Oh my goodness.
And they're even going back to look for the rats because they still have that vision advantage from before. And again, if they get Yuma's BKB, they just go down and end. They don't have to care about the Monkey King anymore. He just dies, and okay.
He
Scary
he went
stuff.
for the throw on the rock, see if he might be able to find him, but he's kind of baiting him a little bit with the courier, which is funny. Yuma's already out. He's safe.
And look, yep. Circling exactly where his opponents are, and it's a smart choice for SG to try and make this jump happen outside the base. They know if they're too passive, they will just lose everything, but they don't find the jump, then the game doesn't start. This is BKB on Oscar, though. The Mars can actually kind of stick around in the team fight maybe a little bit longer. But,
Oh, speed! A little unfortunate, but does have the onslaught to get down to the low ground. That's a BKB just for the Chen. They still have yet to find the actual observer ward on the backside here, which is giving a lot of info on over to SG right now and where the positioning of these heroes are. And Oscar end up going in to get the fear, actually sending Monkey King back, but a giant freezing field from CM is going to just zone them out completely. And Speed blinks it over to the side. They're trying to do a damage to count on over to DNM's Lone Druid, but he doesn't care. Catch with a big Requiem. Just clears the field. They're looking for Oscar. He's going to blink out. KXY hiding in the trees here. They know he's somewhere. The arrow. No way, dude. It can't be. GGXD.
Yeah, leave the server.
No
Evacuate.
way. That is too good.
Now, would Logical land that arrow? I don't know.
That's
Giants picked
man.
Giants looking pretty good. Giants looking pretty good. But man, 5RAT came to play today, and SG, I mean, you look at the lineup, you read the names, you see what they've done with all of their respective careers, and 5RAT just kind of walloped them. And I mean, maybe it's just 5RAT playing the current patch. I mean, they got the cheat code, right? I think Lone Druid is easily
Lone
one of the
Druid's so
best
good.
heroes in comp by far, but at the same time, this was an absolute working. Holy cow.
Yeah, this was nuts, man. They just did super good in general. Like pretty much every single player playing out of their minds. It all started with the lanes though, right? Like Kit's pretty much putting KXY in a dumpster. Like this wasn't even close. Like that lane matchup, he took KXY, put him 7th on the net worth position within the first like 10 minutes of the game. He just had a 3-level advantage. He had absolutely no recovery. Necro is just not one of those heroes that can play from behind. And DNM gets like safe lane tower, or like rather the enemy off lane tower at just over 6 minutes. They're like free farming top lane on Primal Beast. Like this was just a clinic right from the beginning. So really well played from them. Love to watch it. Love to see it. We'll see if they can keep it together though, as it is only game 1 of this series. SG Esports might be able to pull this one back. But before I throw to a quick break, I do want to actually take a moment to talk about one of our sponsors, which for those of you who don't know, this tournament is sponsored by the one and only HyperX, and they have a pretty sick new product coming out. So HyperX, thank you guys for sponsoring the tournament. We appreciate you guys. You guys can head on over to their website. There is a really sick rather discount happening for their upcoming HyperX Armada 25-inch full HD gaming monitor. You can use promo code HXBTS Armada and get up to 20% off the MSRP, and that's happening the entire duration of Pro Series 12. And I will say, as someone who does like good hardware, this is good hardware. This thing is sick. It's actually one of the coolest monitors I've seen in a long time. I don't normally like say that, but as someone who's been like looking for a good monitor, this one kind of checks every single box. There's a 25-inch and a 27-inch version for those of you who want like, the 27-inch, like, what is it, 4K or 1440p monitors? I don't know. But good
Something
stuff,
like
man.
that.
Yeah, good stuff. Shout out to HyperX. Thank you so much for putting this together, and we appreciate it. We'll talk a little bit more about them later on because they also have a giveaway that they're doing, but that's for a little bit later. Make sure to stay tuned for that. But we're gonna go to a short break, and we'll be back with game 2 of our second series. So we'll see you then.